Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts.
Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you.
This is the third installment, the final one of our series this evening, Finding Our Purpose, and it's something that Reverend Jean Marie and I have been working with. We started off 2 weeks ago with Beyond Subsistence, where we really just try to get out of our own needs and out of our own focus and our own world and move past that a little bit and start to recognize that there's a reason that we need resource in our life, that we need things and support. We really are moving someplace because we're being called into something more, and finding the ways in which we can use our gifts and our skills is part of it. Last week, Reverend Jean Marie did a beautiful job of talking about how we get beyond our past. You know, how that can really hold us back. That can really be a weight. And if we don't really examine it, if we don't do some of our healing work, not only does it hold us back, but it is, we have so little awareness of how it is papering our world, papering the walls of our world over so that we can't really see beyond. And so really, as we start to recognize how others' expectations and other things that have been in the past in our lives, and the things that we have interpreted our lives as being, have become transparent to us, and we see them as reality when they are not. They are changeable, and they're within our power. And a whole new world can open up as we really release and heal that part of our lives. So tonight, I'm sure you're thinking, well, so like what's left, you know? And so tonight we're going to talk about beyond the outer limits. In other words, if we move past our own little world, our own little needs for subsistence, if we move past our past, then all we have in front of us is a great, big, amazing, endless, limitless life. What in the world do we do with that? If we're doing a new thing, what are we up against? What kinds of external limits might we be exposing ourselves to? What kind of external limits are coming to us? It's not now our thinking. It's often our fear of others. It's cultural beliefs, potentially. It's cultural beliefs around us or society. And it's also sometimes what we think other people expect of us, or other things that people won't go along with us. They won't support us. And so there's all of these fearful things out there that we think, you know, we rock the boat, so to speak. And then it's not just out there, it can be out there in your house. You know, there can be people in your house that are not going to buy into it, because whatever it is you want to do affects them. And they may not want to go along for the ride on that. So there's so many ways in which we do a number on ourselves of holding ourselves small and keeping ourselves in place, not only because of our own fears, but we project those fears and expectations from others. And sometimes we allow others and their fears to get in our way. But fear is never a good reason to stay small. Fear is never the reason, never a good enough excuse, really. It can be a reason, it can be the thing, it can be what happened, and that's all right. But it was never the thing that was really holding us. It was a lack sometimes of an imagination, of getting past that and letting go of the fear, or feeling the fear and doing it anyway. There's a whole book about that. In fact, the title is really all you really need. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Thanks, I got it, you know? That's the thing, you know? And take whatever kind of step you need to take. Because honestly, this is a fail-safe universe. It really is. I mean, you really are supported in everything. Even in the upsets, even in the unexpected failures, even when things go wrong or not the way you thought, or there's pain involved. Sometimes there's pain involved. Losses happen. But you know what? You could stand still and pain could be involved. You could stand still and not go anywhere and loss can happen. So why wouldn't you take the steps you need to take and just go and see what you can make of your life? What are you being called into? In Jewish mysticism, there's a saying that says, death is experienced only once, but the one who fears it dies each minute. You can set it up in your head. Some terrible thing's going to happen. You can be worried. I have been in that space where I was trying to prepare for every contingency, or hunker down and wait, try to imagine, get the clues from the person in my life that I'm tracking, I'm watching. I'm afraid they're gonna do this. I'm afraid they're gonna go away. I'm afraid they're gonna come back. I'm afraid there's all of these things. Those are other stories, but anyway, that there's all kinds of things that you want to be ready. You don't want to be like to be surprised or to be taken off guard is like the worst thing ever. And so instead, you live 1,000 fearful things, and you stay ready, and your adrenaline, is poisoning your body because you're constantly on guard for something that may or may not happen, and you cannot know what the future will bring. You really can't be ready for everything. What you can do is begin to trust yourself, that if you stay centered and if you stay in touch with yourself, that whatever comes, you will be enough. You will be equal to it. And if you get knocked off your horse or knocked off your feet, you'll get back up. You will figure it out because you have a whole history behind you of times when something has come out of nowhere and it knocked you off your feet, and you found your way back on to the horse or back onto your feet or wherever, right? So why not just allow yourself to be present to whatever happens, and then that's your readiness, because you're already it. You're already enough. James Cook says, do just once what others say you can't do, and you will never pay attention to their limitations again. One time, right? Just one time. Go past expectation. Do the thing you just know you could do. You just know you got to try. And you get past it, well, then all of that starts to fall away, and you begin to learn what is really, where your real faith and trust should be. That there's an inner voice that is far more wise and really online for you. Frank Scully, an author and journalist, I like what he says. He says, why not go out on a limb? Isn't that where the fruit is? If you think about it for a second, it's like yes, that's where the zest is. That's where life is. I mean, to stay small, to stay secure and safe, to stay in the pattern, in the routines. That really doesn't get you where you want to be, especially if you keep thinking there's something more. You've already gotten everything you can get standing right here. It's not going to roll in the front door to you. Maybe, but I wouldn't bank on it. I would think that you're going to have to at least open the door. You're going to have to walk out. You're going to have to find your way and follow the dream. And I'm just going to tell you that it's right here. It is calling you. It is pulling you. It is everything that is the next step, the next thing, the next right decision, the next right purpose, the right something is calling to you. What goes along with this is finding your authentic power. Because you see, now you've become, you're moving out of all of the dependency and all of the fearful. You've learned how to take care of yourself beyond subsistence. You've learned how that you have escaped and taken the best of your past and left what doesn't really serve you any longer. You're coming into your power, into your own authenticity. You stop comparing your notes to everybody else out here and start listening more and more intently. Finding your authentic power is really where your co-creative power with the divine really starts to kick in. It's also how the world really works. It's actually been working like that all along, but you weren't really aware of how to pull the strings just right so that you could actually consciously and intentionally create the next right thing for yourself. Gary Zukav from The Seat of the Soul says this: when we align our thoughts, emotions, and actions with the highest part of ourselves, we are filled with enthusiasm, purpose, and meaning. Life is rich and full. We have no thoughts of bitterness. We have no memory of fear. We are joyously and intimately engaged with our world. This is the experience of authentic power. Can you think of some times in your life when you have really tapped into that? Where for a shiny moment, nothing seemed impossible to you. You were right on time. You were right where you were supposed to be. This was your moment. This was the thing. You did it. You are it. You are becoming it. You're starting out to do it. You've enrolled in it. You know, you've completed it. Whatever it is, you've just reached that moment where you know who you are and you know this is your time. What if every moment could be that real for you? What if in every moment, whether it's a high or a low or a meh, that no matter where you are on the spectrum, that somehow you know you're still enough, you're not lost, you're right here, you're not alone, and everything is unfolding just as it should, and so are you. I've learned a lot about power in my life, and I've learned specifically what it is and what it isn't. I've learned how to use it. I believe I've learned how to use it with authority. I've learned how to use it with responsibility. I've learned how to use it with care. I've learned how to use it when I didn't want to be the one that had to do it. And I've learned how that feels as well. I've also learned where I don't have power, where I have a limit and I can't go past it. And if I lift up my finger and I take in a breath and I'm about to say, and I can already hear in my own mind that what I'm about to say is going to fall on deaf ears. In fact, it might even drive the person in the opposite direction, the person being a child, of course. The thing of it is that I realize where I end and where other wills start. And that is a great gift. It is a great grace to know where my power can really flow and where it is that it's someone else's turn to live their life according to their best guesses and take the consequences and turn them, spin that straw into gold. As I have done and as I learned, I give them that gift so that they can learn as well. And my opportunity is to use my power to believe in them and to trust them and to trust life and to entrust them to life, that life can guide them just as I've been guided. To me, finding how it is we use our power and learning all the ways, the nuances of that power is really, I think it's a culmination of our lives in some way. I think learning how to use the power that we've been given and the power that we are and being conscious about it is really spiritual work, yes, but it has magnificent possibilities. We can also be confused by the limitless choices in front of us, yes? Especially when it gets cleared out, right? When we finally are free, when we finally do have things going in our direction, we go, yeah, which way do I go? Now okay, I'm not afraid, but I'm also terribly confused. And I don't know, this one looks pretty good and that looks all right, but I don't know, is it over there? Should I start in this direction? All of these questions. And I'm going to tell you, there are not limitless choices. There are not limitless choices. There's really only one choice: fear or love. But there are limitless expressions and limitless ways to be those things. But all it ever is what is holding me back, or small, or in the past, or in anger, or fear, or resentment, or bitterness, or revenge. And what is calling me into generosity, into expansion, into life, into love, into possibilities, into generosity, into forgiveness, into compassion. Whatever it is that opens us, you know you've got a hold of something. You know that you're pointed in the right direction. You know you're thinking the right thoughts. You know that you're on to the next place. There's limitless ways of expressing. There's only one choice, and we keep making it. We keep making the choice over and over and over. We can start in love and fall back in fear if we're not careful. But the choice is always follow what expands you, what calls you, what excites you, what thrills you, what gives you the tingles. Sometimes it feels like fear. I'm just going to say sometimes fear and excitement really get confusing. You really can't tell which one it is. And if it's something you really want, opt for excitement. Go for it. Finding your purpose, working for the benefit of others in the world. I'll tell you, that I truly believe in my heart is our truest purpose. I think it's not only our individual purpose, no matter how that looks in your life. I think it's our united human purpose. Maybe it has always been. I just think right now it feels more imperative than ever. I don't know if you've noticed, it's minus 20 degrees in the Midwest right now. It feels wrong somehow. It's like there's so many things that the world is giving us clues about things that we need to come together and come up with solutions for some of the places where we're hurt, and some of the places where things are not moving in the direction of greater life and love. If that's our purpose and we create that in our own personal lives, then how can we see that being reflected in our outer world and in our communities? Van Jones, a commentator, says, it's in that convergence of spiritual people becoming active and active people becoming spiritual that the hope of humanity now rests. It's bringing those two things together. This isn't about what I believe or how I think the world ought to work, but if I just have a common purpose with it's got to get better. I want to see more wholeness, more healing, more justice, more fairness. I want to see all of us being provided for, everything available for everybody. It just should be better than this. Yeah? Whatever we can do, you start right wherever you are. Whatever's right in front of you, whatever's next for you to do, whatever opens your heart, whatever calls you to go deeper, bigger, more, that's yours to do. You just work. What do they say? If you're going to eat an elephant, you just start with the first piece, whatever's closest to you, right? I've never eaten an elephant, but that's what it is. This thing feels like. And so wherever you are, you're not in the wrong place. You're in the right place. Because you know what? Somebody's got to start from your end. Somebody's got to start unraveling this, or start healing it, or start fixing it, or start attending to it, or start lifting it and holding it. Whatever it is that needs to happen, you're in your right place. And whatever's nearest you in the gifts that you bring, then you know that that's for you. And it doesn't matter if it makes the news or not. And it may not be in competition, put you in competition with Mother Teresa. That's okay. It's whatever it is that it feels like a good use of your time and your love. And something that is better because you were there, because you did that, because you said that, because you made that happen, because you embraced and loved another person or a situation, or you brought whatever you could bring to the party. You gave it away. Whatever it was you did made a difference. Then that's a piece that's been put into right place. Our oneness, that's what I'm really talking about. Really, we've been talking about it all along. Because really and truly, lean in. We don't tell you anything different. Every single week we open our mouths, we're always talking about oneness because it's the only operational truth. Everything else we say is a corollary and a spin-off from the fact that we're one, that nothing escapes that oneness. We live in a closed universe. The universe is a closed system, but it is limitless. By closed, I mean we can't escape it. We will always be a part of it. It will always be a part of us. We are a part of the one, and it's limitless. Wrap that around your head. No, wrap your head around that. I guess that's it. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes. What hinders us hinders all of us. What hinders one of us hinders all of us. Thomas Merton, the theologian, said, "Our job is to love others without stopping to inquire if they are worthy." If we stopped trying to figure out who exactly I should try to help in what kind of a way before I actually do something about it, I might make a lot more, mileage that way. Dr. Martin Luther King said, "We are tied together in the single garment of destiny, caught in an inescapable network of mutuality. And whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly." And he doesn't mean just the good stuff. He means everything. And so when someone else is limited or in pain or hurt or by the side of the road or forgotten or not enough or not allowed to take the next step, whatever happens, if it can happen to one of us, it can happen to any of us. And it happens to all of us in the moment. And that's enough reason to work on the elephant right where you are, however you do it. And if we extend this outer limits even beyond our consideration for humanity to all of life itself, then we can listen to someone like Thomas Berry, a Catholic priest. He referred to himself as a geologian, eco-theologian. He was into the earth. He was a Teilhard de Chardin devotee. I think all of those were French words. I'm not sure. The universe is composed of subjects to be communed with, not primarily of objects to be used. Let's say that again. The universe is composed of subjects to be communed with, not primarily of objects to be used. What if we saw our world as being completely alive? What if we saw everything as life force, as energy patterns that change, that we can interact with, that we can use our power in a whole different way of exacting a communion and a union and move with? There is nothing that would be impossible for us. Even Jesus said, you can say to the mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible to you. So it's not the choices, it's the first and one and only choice you make. And then the expression of that, love or fear, the expression of that becomes multiplicity, can go in any direction. There is no past or future. Might as well get that in while I'm at it. Only what we are willing to do and be right now. None of those things matter. There is no afterlife. There's only one life. We're living it. This is it. When we have a body, that's what this looks like. When we don't have a body, life will still continue. Life flew us into this body. Life is going to sail out of it at some other time, but it's still going to be life, and you're still going to be in it. And we are living it now with all whom we have ever known or will ever know. We're all connected. Why? Because we live in a single universe. Universe is just a word. Just think of it as a big oneness. That big oneness is a closed system. We can't escape it. And it is limitless. That means time-wise. That means here and there. It means everything. Beyond the outer limits, there are no limits. And you're safe. Because everything always comes back home. You can't leave it. It has you. It's got you. And yet, it urges you to fly. Move beyond your outer limits. There aren't any limits. Find your purpose, your voice for oneness. Or do as Rumi suggests. It all really boils down to Rumi. It always does. Did you know that? Rumi always just brings it down to one thing. Be a lamp. Be a lifeboat. Be a ladder, it says. Help someone's soul to heal. Walk out of your house like a shepherd. God bless you all.
Thank you for watching this message today. I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.